Welcome back, fellow students. Let's just jump right in, shall we? In today's explainer, we're focusing on how to completely level up our formal writing and storytelling by mastering advanced time connectors. Look, if you've ever lost points on an essay because it lacked a certain dramatic punch, or if you're trying to nail that really high-level academic tone, well, you are absolutely in the right place. We're going to take the tools you already know and give them a serious upgrade.
Here's our quick syllabus for today. First up, standard time basics. Second, the power of inversion. Third, choosing than or when. Fourth, we'll look at a practical example called the chaotic airport. And finally, we'll wrap up with an advanced grammar quiz to test your mastery.
All right, Section 1, Standard Time Basics, Building the Foundation.
So before we intentionally start manipulating our sentence structures, let's just look at the baseline. By the time is our absolute go-to connector when we want to prove that one action completely finished before the next one occurred. Notice how it works in the past. By the time I arrived, the movie had started. See? Event 1 is totally done before Event 2 even begins. And we can do this in the future too, like, by the time you arrive, I will have finished my work. It sets clear, undeniable boundaries between the events.
Now, for events happening immediately after one another, we usually reach for as soon as. Like, as soon as I saw her, I smiled. This structure keeps our sentences in a very casual, standard conversational tone. I mean, it's perfectly correct, but it's an everyday phrasing. It doesn't exactly scream advanced writing, right?
Which brings us to Section 2, the power of inversion, also known as the boss level of grammar.
This concept is exactly what takes our writing from casual to highly formal. This is where you really grab the reader's attention. The secret ingredient here is inversion. Simply put, it's a grammatical structure where the auxiliary verb comes right before the subject. It's essentially flipping the standard order of the sentence on its head, and it is strictly required when we use specific dramatic time connectors like no sooner, hardly, scarcely, or barely.
And this brilliantly illustrates that structural shift. Just read the normal sentence. I had arrived when he called. It's fine. It works. But listen to the inverted form. Hardly had I arrived when he called. You hear that? Listen to how swapping the subject I and the auxiliary verb had instantly gives the whole sentence this refined, almost dramatic tone. It creates this sudden sense of breathless immediacy.
Let's move to Section 3, Choosing then or when, in avoiding some really common traps. Knowing exactly which words to pair together is, honestly, arguably the most common trap on grammar exams. Let's memorize this right now. Notice how no sooner exclusively pairs with the word than. They are a locked pair. Meanwhile, hardly, scarcely, and barely, which all carry that exact same almost immediately meaning, always pair with the word when. Getting these wrong is an instant red flag to a reader or an examiner, for sure. Let's actually look at the mistakes people make. A huge one is just forgetting the inversion itself. Check out that first example. No sooner I had arrived than he left. The pairing word is right, but the structure is entirely wrong. You absolutely must place that auxiliary verb had before the subject I, like it shows right below. No sooner had I arrived than he left.
Another incredibly common error is mixing up the pairs we literally just looked at. Hardly had I finished than he came. Your brain might try to trick you here because no sooner than sounds so familiar. But remember, hardly pairs directly with when. So it should be hardly had I finished when he came.
All right, Section 4, the chaotic airport, where we put it all into practice.
Let's see how all of this builds narrative tension by analyzing a quick paragraph about a very chaotic travel day. Notice how by the time sets the disappointing past sequence right away. The plane was already gone before they arrived. Then a standard sequence, as soon as I called. But then the author shifts gears. No sooner had I sat down than they announced the delay. Boom. The inversion accelerates the pace of the chaos immediately. You can literally feel the frustration building.
And the author just keeps layering that exact tension with hardly when and scarcely when. They aren't just giving us a dry timeline. They're actively using grammar to make the events feel frantically close together. It's like one disaster bleeds into the next almost instantly, right up until the final relieving resolution. That right there is the pure power of advanced time connectors in storytelling.
Okay, Section 5, Advanced Grammar Quiz. Let's test your mastery.
All right, fellow students, it's time to see what we've learned with a rapid-fire quiz. I want you to fill in the blank before I reveal the answer. First challenge, blank, I arrived, the meeting had ended. Which connector perfectly shows the meeting was completely finished before you even got there? Think about our timeline.
The correct answer is by the time. By the time I arrived, the meeting had ended.
Great job if you got that one. Let's step up the difficulty a bit.
No sooner had she entered, blank, the lights went out. Think back to our pairing rules. What specific word forms an unbreakable pair with no sooner? You got it? You totally nailed it if you said than. No sooner had she entered than the lights went out. Remember, no sooner never pairs with when, ever.
Okay, next one. Hardly had they slept, blank, the baby cried. Now, what is the strictly required pairing word for the inverted connector hardly?
The answer is when. Hardly always pairs with when. Hardly had they slept when the baby cried.
Last question. Scarcely had I finished my homework, blank, my friend called. What does the formal advanced connector scarcely pair with? Lock in your answer right now.
Just like hardly, it perfectly pairs with when. Scarcely had I finished my homework when my friend called. If you got all of those right, wow, you are well on your way to mastering advanced English structures. Mastering these strict formal rules gives you the ultimate power, because once you know exactly how to structure an inverted sentence to build tension, you can intentionally bend or break those rules for your own grammatic effect. So, I'm going to leave you with this question. Armed with this brand new toolkit, how will you experiment with the pacing and tension in your own storytelling next? Thanks for learning with me today, and I'll see you in the next explainer.